There once were two houses on the opposite sides of the city. These houses treated garbage differently. Inside the green house rested Alfred the apple core and Walter the water bottle. In the red house sat Bob the box and Carter the can. One day, the owners of these friends had finished using them and decided to throw them out. These friends said goodbye to one another and waited. The green owner grabbed Walter and dropped him in the recycling bin. Next, he took Alfred and put him in his compost bin. The red owner grabbed both Bob and Carter and threw them in his trash can. All the friends knew that the trash man would be arriving soon, and then their new lives would begin. They all waited excitedly, hoping they would see each other once again. The next day, the trash man arrived and picked up Walter, Carter, and Bob. Alfred stayed inside his bin surprised, but soon realized he was surrounded by others like himself and worms. He was welcomed and was explained the process of compost. Compost transforms waste into a soil amendment, saves space in landfills, saves money spent on disposal, and slows climate change. The average family in America generates 650 pounds of compostable materials every year, yet 60% of landfills is organic waste that could be composted. Compost is safer for the environment as it takes less water, fertilizer, and pesticides to grow plants. The soil produced is more nutritious, contains microbes, and holds water more efficiently. As for Walter, he was taken to a transfer station. Here he met other recyclables. Next, a truck came and they were loaded into the truck. They then arrived at a recycling center. Here the trash was separated into glass, aluminum, and plastic piles. Walter, of course, was placed in the plastic pile. Walter was then pushed together with his friends, forming a large mass. After, this mass is taken to an aftermarket manufacturer. Here Walter is further crushed, washed, dried, melted, shredded, and sterilized. Plastics are then created into yarn, sheets, or pellets. These are then taken to create other objects, such as rugs, sweatshirts, and more bottles. In this case, Walter is happily created into a hoodie. Now that Walter has become something new, he is taken out of the manufacturer and sent to stores around the area. Here, a customer will buy Walter and bring him to his house, starting the process once again. Most trash is not this lucky. In America, only 15 to 30% of trash that can be recycled is, meaning that the U.S. is not using materials efficiently. If the U.S. were to recycle every recyclable item, it could save at least 1 billion gallons of oil and 44 million cubic yards of landfill space. In addition, recycling is much cheaper than any other waste system, only costing around $30. Through recycling, the U.S. could save money and increase manufacturing, all while helping the Earth. Bob and Carter are not as lucky as Walter, because they happen to be a part of the majority of trash that is not or cannot be recycled. After the trash man picked them up, they were taken to a transfer station. Here, they are separated into two categories, those that are taken to landfills and those that are sent to waste-to-energy centers. Bob is put into a landfill pile. After Bob moves down the conveyor belt, he is put into a truck. This truck takes Bob to one of the city's many landfills. A landfill is a structure that keeps the trash isolated from the surrounding environment, so it does not come into contact with air, groundwater, and rain. Here, trash like Bob is buried and left. The trash is unlikely to decompose much. The average American contributes around 4.5 pounds to a landfill every day. A landfill is made up of mostly paper, food scraps, and plastics, all of which can be recycled instead. Landfills also cause methane to enter the ecosystem of the surrounding area, threatening to pollute the water supply and hurting the Earth's atmosphere. To use landfills, it costs around $50 per use. America has the highest amount of waste generated per person, where 5% of the world's population generates 40% of the world's waste. Most of this waste is kept in landfills. The U.S. alone has 30,000 active landfills and 10,000 old landfills. The trash inside landfills, because it's protected from the environment, can take thousands of years to decompose completely. For Carter, he was not taken to a landfill but to a waste-to-energy facility, meaning an incinerator. He is loaded onto a truck and driven to one of these sites. Here, trash is turned into ash and heat in order to generate energy. This costs around $65 to $75 per use. Incinerators pollute the air and contribute to climate change. Modern incinerators are not sources of renewable energy. Instead, they rely on waste, meaning they support waste and consumption. In addition, incinerators can have a negative effect on the health of those in the surrounding area. They are the primary cause of dioxins in the atmosphere, creating around 70% of them. They cause cancer and developmental, genetic, and birth defects. Incinerators only produce small amounts of energy. They have efficiency rates of 19 to 27%. Recycling and composting save 3 to 5 times the energy that incinerators create, and they are much more affordable practices. Yet many recyclables are incinerated, causing pollution. Incinerators, in addition to dioxins, emit more mercury than even coal plants. In the end, the green owner, by simply recycling and composting, is living a more sustainable life. If everyone in the world lived as Americans do, we would need at least 5 Earths in order to sustain that lifestyle. In the very near future, many counties, including Los Angeles, are going to run out of room to place their trash in landfills, meaning transportation will be longer and more expensive. In addition, recycling and composting can conserve water, a resource that has become increasingly scarce. By cutting down on consuming bottled water, recycling paper, plastics, and aluminum, and composting to increase the efficiency of a plant's ability to retain water, Americans can save a significant amount of water. Through recycling, money would be saved and manufacturing would improve. Transportation would not be used as often, and when it is used, it would be traveling to local recycling centers instead of landfills miles away. Manufacturing would expand because manufacturers would no longer have to use as many raw materials, which would save energy and time. If America were to recycle 75% of all the recyclables it uses, it would be equal to removing 50 million cars from the road every year and would generate 1.5 million new jobs. In order to accomplish such a feat, society needs to be educated on how and what to recycle in order to stop the confusion and skepticism that leads to landfills being filled with recyclables. America has a lot to do in order to save the planet that we have destroyed over the years. Recycling and composting are just one step in the right direction, but the step can lead to many other important changes. America needs to learn from the red owner's mistakes and instead begin to live as the green owner does. Only then can we begin to make up for all the mistakes and destruction we have caused. Thanks for watching.